Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This time, imaginary friend. Yeah, it's kind of like you guys. You're all our imaginary friends because we don't know who you are. Well, maybe some of you, but a lot of you, imaginary friends. Hey, become our Facebook friend. It's all been checked before. We're on Facebook. Follow us out there. We're an entity. I don't know if you can't friend entities, but you can get in on it with us. You are our friends. You can be a non-imaginary friend on Facebook, even though that doesn't seem to make sense. It's all been checked before. You can find us on there on Facebook. Get involved. Talk to us about Trek. That's what we do all the time. Just like we're going to do right now. Imaginary friend, and It's All Been Checked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Shrek'd Before. Your regular hosts are here.
This is Steven.
And Keith.
Jimmy-Jerome. And Samantha. Samantha's my imaginary friend. Actually, if I was going to have an imaginary friend named Samantha, it would be Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City's Samantha. But anyway, we're here to talk about imaginary friend.
I wanted to do an imaginary friend. Why not have two? That is my imaginary Samantha.
Oh, goodness. First impressions on imaginary friend.
My first impression was the title. I wasn't familiar with the synopsis at all. So, yeah, jumping right in, I said, well, let's get ready to see a ghost or an alien. Bring him out. This is just we open in the child psychology session, talking about the imaginary friend. I was like, well, that's where we're going.
Except it ended up not being imaginary, at least for a while. So
that's my point. Is it's going to be something. It's going to be some entity, probably not a good one. And as soon as we got to the next scene, when Isabella suddenly became real, I said that she looks precisely evil enough to get those credits rolling. So, it's just like, no.
So I'm going to give my first impression next because mine will be quick.
Mine maybe.
That was a thumbs down with the tongue one.
For those of you who've been along with this podcast from the beginning, my first impression might be even worse than that because I got a lot of whiffs of "And the Children Shall Lead" from the original series, which, as you may recall, is my least favorite episode of the original series.
It's not a good one.
No.
What season was that?
Season 3, for sure.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure this episode is better. But
wow.
Spoiler alert for where you want to rank it.
At least that's the way. Once we start talking about it, maybe I'll change my mind. But I mean,
clearly I'm inclined to agree with you. So Keith's going to be the one to have to defend this episode.
That usually happens. I will say that usually most of these episodes are never as bad as we think they are.
Right.
Until as after we start talking about them.
I will say what puts this above some of the really bad original series episodes are that the story did make sense.
Yeah.
Good point.
It just wasn't a good story I really wanted to watch. So we start out with they're talking about what she tells Troy she likes purple omelets made with grape juice, but Isabella thinks they taste funny. Yeah. So bizarre.
Everybody in the galaxy thinks they taste funny.
So the little girl that's telling Troy this is her name is Clara, right?
Clara.
Clara Sutter, played by Noli Thornton. Noli is best known for the movie Heidi. She played Heidi in 1993. She also, according to IMDb, she's second best known for a one-episode role she played on Deep Space Nine. Next Gen doesn't land in her top 4. She did a 10-episode arc on Beverly Hills 90210, but her acting credits end while she's still a child. So she just did a handful of things. She did an episode Quantum Leap, and then she just kind of disappeared from the landscape of acting. Heidi, starring as Heidi and Heidi, that's a pretty big one.
Jim, I don't want to step on your toes as the child actor basher here, but I think it's probably for the best that she stopped acting now.
I
think she was bad. She did not annoy me. Okay,
Clara?
Here's the thing. There were two main girls in this, right?
Yes.
There was Clara, and then there was Isabella, played by Shea Astor, who's best known for Third Rock from the Sun, Ernest Scared Stupid, La La Land, the 2012 movie, not the musical.
Yeah.
And also Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap. She that is her only Trek credit, and she doesn't have a Seinfeld credit. But I think Shay as Isabella was the better actress, but I hated the character. Whereas I liked the character of Clara, but the actress wasn't as good.
I completely agree. And I went back and forth on Isabella's the imaginary character, right?
Yes.
Yeah, at first I thought, man, she's kind of flat. It feels like she's Small Wonder. And then I was like, no, she's playing exactly how, maybe not exactly, but she's playing it pretty much like an alien and pretending to be this other thing. And and be creepy and all that at the same time.
That's the important part. And she was
perfectly creepy. Yeah. So I guess I'll ask this question while we're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I referenced you as an expert, Jimmy, earlier. I think I'm going back to, I think it was the disaster episode, or maybe it was earlier than that, where you really did not like the acting by the kids. The one with Picard in the elevator? Or
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You're the one who pointed out the gym look.
Yeah. So where would you rate the level of bad child acting in this episode? Better or worse than disaster?
About the same.
Yeah.
I don't feel strongly enough one way or the other to go above or below.
But we know it wasn't great.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great.
Brian Bonsall, leave him to the side, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I just thought even that and the story and everything, all the elements of it were like, this is our Saturday morning, TNG episode.
Yeah, it was a very predictable, rote episode of Star Trek. It was not a standout good one by any means.
I noticed in the opening credits, or the post-opening credits, they give away the Guinan's going to be in it. So I was like, oh wow! Already, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be like a Guinan in Ex Machina or something here. Isabella's going to be so hardcore. I was like, wait, Troy's also in this too. I mean, this is going to be like, what are they going to do here? Where it takes the two of them to figure this out.
But it didn't. That's not what they did with it.
It didn't. Yeah, it was just like I was a little confused about her being visible or not visible. But we can get there. At first,
so that opening, she's talking to Troy, and then they're having like a tea party. I can't tell if it's an imaginary tea party or if there's real tea in there. I think it's an imaginary tea party. And then she has to go help Keiko plant, which disappointed me, I guess, that Rosalind Chow wasn't in the episode because I kept looking for Keiko. We saw other people planting, but we didn't see Keiko. Then we immediately meet her father at that point, Ensign Daniel Sutter, who looks kind of old for an ensign, but played by Jeff Allen, best known for Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, K9, the video game Star Trek Borg, and an episode of Star Trek Voyager playing another character. According to IMDb, I find that questionable. I mean, he did like 58 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful. Wouldn't that rank up higher? I don't know.
I keep saying this every time. It doesn't make their algorithm doesn't make any sense for that.
It doesn't. He did an episode of Cop Rock, so that's the point of his favor.
The fact that he's bounced around to so many ships may point to there must be a problem with it.
Yeah. So he's asking, I thought the same thing. I'm like, there must be something going on with him. But he seemed like a good father, maybe because he's a single father and he's not as focused on his job because he's raising a kid, because we never hear anything about the mother. Or, maybe he's not a single father. Maybe it's just his turn because, like Geordi says, when Geordi reveals he was also a space brat, sometimes he was stationed with his mom, sometimes with his dad, sometimes with both. So we never got into, like, where Clara's mom is. Yeah. Or so she was a test
probably trying to stay in the same quadrants or areas of each other's. Yeah.
That could hurt his promotion too if he's trying to stay near his wife. We didn't get the backstory. That would have made him a little bit more interesting because at this point he's a stereotype.
I'd rather see that episode, so add that to my list of alternative episodes.
So they talk about her being an army brat, moving around. Like I said, Geordi is as well, but he sees it as one long adventure, whereas they think Clara might be more disturbed or not adjust to it as well. And there's a whole conversation about, like, Geordi saying, well, kids are resilient, they'll handle anything. And I'm like, yeah, but each kid is different. And some kids would adapt to that better than other kids. And maybe you adapted to it well. Doesn't mean Clara's going to adapt to it well, was my whole easily punchable hole in the logic there.
Hey, Geordi, not everyone's a sociopath, okay?
Maybe that's why Geordi is a sociopath.
Just the lucky ones.
Chicken or the egg?
So right after this conversation with Counselor Troy, we see the light enter the Enterprise. And that immediately, I was groaning out loud going, is this the 8th episode of The Next Generation where a light has come on board and made trouble? It's like, at this point, that to me is the most commonly occurring trope in the series, is a light comes on board and causes trouble.
I get
I'm
maybe
sick of
there's
it.
so many
I'm sick of
ways
it.
to show a being that isn't corporeal or on 2 legs or whatever, but come on, I'd rather see one of Scrooge's ghosts flying around the Enterprise than a little light again.
With the chains.
Yes.
I mean, the only way they could save that, they zoom in on the light and it's Tinkerbell and it's an actual fairy.
Right, yeah. Something I had the same reaction, Jimmy. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, Next Gen and their lights. I don't think any of the other Star Treks have these lights that are constantly causing trouble. So
I like the glitter better. I'd rather have glitter again back.
Though I will say we haven't gotten to the best light episode yet because there are 4 lights.
No, we did the light Zatar a while ago.
No, there's a Picard episode coming up with a very famous quote about there are 4 lights. But that does not involve a light flying around, so it's a totally different thing.
I thought we already watched that.
No, we have not watched that yet.
So I just saw it revealed in the meme and everything.
It's coming up.
No, it is. I think next season. So then Agawa, as the lights going around the ship, we got to see a lot of slice of life moments, which I really liked at that point. I'm like, I don't like you stupid light, but I like these. And Agawa's talking about going on dates with this guy, and she talked about, she's not ready for Ryza. That's too spicy. And Crusher makes an alternate suggestion. And that's my alternate episode. Let's just follow Agawa on her dating life or something. That would be better than this.
I wanted to hear more about it. So that's who I'm having a drink with is Agawa. Because I was like, tell me more about this. And who do you guys, is she she's not talking about someone we know, you think? Or
I don't think so. I think just another crewman.
Yeah.
I mean, I know eventually we see her we hear at least that she's married and she gets pregnant, but I don't think we ever actually see all that unfold. I think it's just all like, oh, she's pregnant now. Okay, she's with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
We never get enough of her because I really enjoy that character and that actress.
And maybe that's one of those things I'll use the Halloween example for you guys to know the movie that, they go to this, Donald Pleasant's character goes to the cemetery and the guy's telling the story about the guy who got up one night with the axe and blah, blah, blah. And then he stops mid-story and he never finishes the story in the middle of Halloween. And I like that idea of you finish it. You guys at home finish it and just leaving them hang. So from that sense, I like that as well. But yeah, I was definitely like, tell me more about this. All right. Somebody, like you said, a little slice of life. I was enjoying that too.
I mean, I will say if she thinks Ryza's too adventurous for her, I wouldn't want to date her, but I'd be her friend. I'd be a supportive friend.
I want to have a drink with her and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. If Ryza's too much,
then that's not the person. Yeah.
Maybe she thinks Ryza would be too much for her. From what she's heard.
Was that where Picard went for his vacation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the Pleasure Planet.
Yeah.
We'll see it more expansive and some later. I know Deep Space Nine goes there and we get to see a little bit more of it with a little more budget than Picard and his one little indoor swimming pool or whatever it was. So the light then goes into Clara's head. So as soon as that happens, even if you didn't know the episode was called Imaginary Friend, and even if you didn't know, you knew it's coming out as Isabella, of course. This creepy girl who's immediately a bully and then disappears. She something out of The Shining or something. I don't know.
She did have that feel. Play with us, Danny. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we go to engineering after the opening credits, and Sutter makes a dad joke, and then Geordi makes basically the same dad joke, and then Data shuts him down. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And again, we get to see Sutter at work, which is nice. Geordi seems really annoyed when Clara comes in, a lot like Picard finding when Wesley tried to get on the bridge in the pilot. Is it that big a deal? It's not like you're having a busy day. I want her to say hi to her dad.
We talk about security all the time, and especially TOS and TNG in engineering and other places. Should kids be able to wander into engineering? No,
they should not. I think that's a testament to how much we've seen happen on this ship so far.
Yeah.
I would have been over it seasons ago, but by now, yes, they should be like, this is unacceptable.
Keith, were you the one that shared shared the meme with us of the guys testing a phaser.
Yeah,
against the warp core.
Right, pointed right at the warp core. I think we made a comment about that when we reviewed that episode.
you might have. And I think that's I thought of
we
him.
did. I don't know how to get through to these people.
So they were having an engine issue that they were trying to fix, and then it just corrected itself. And Isabella had disappeared during that time. Are we to take it that Isabella corrected the engine issue? And why?
Seems that way.
But it seemed pointless. Like, did she cause it? Why would she correct it? I don't get anything about this engine issue.
And even the end of the episode doesn't really take you back and be, oh, that's what she was doing. I guess
no.
I was hoping that one of you had been paying attention to something that I missed there, because I was only left to guess that maybe she needed to facilitate it to go somewhere or something, that like they needed to rendezvous with something, or
no, they just didn't explain it,
or they needed to have it generate enough energy to do something or other. The thing that's going to lead me to, though, and this is I suppose jumping way ahead in a way, but it gave me that start. The question: what does Isabella need with a little girl? She keeps trying to let's go to engineering. Why can't you just? You're invisible. You can go do it yourself. You can walk, whatever, and just.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was evaluating humans as a species, and so it chose a child to evaluate, not understand the difference between children and grown-ups. Because they're in this light species, the lights don't have children. They're just all something.
Yeah, because I will say one thing I liked was Picard trying to explain. Cause I like the idea that these aliens are like, hey, you guys are terrible to these, lack of a better term, these little people.
Yeah, you don't let them do anything they want.
Yeah. He was like, well, I know it's hard to understand. And so that's not a terrible aspect either of like, oh, not everyone understands the whole child-parent dynamic.
I agree. That misunderstanding actually made sense to me, and I liked that aspect.
Yep, that was my last note in it, actually. It was just I don't know if I would have been able to, in that situation, to explain it as patiently or succinctly. And I really liked that.
So when she asks Isabella to smile. The smile is so freaking creepy.
The best part about that is that Clara seemed to buy it. She was like, yeah, that's a smile.
Then we had that scene where Isabella and Clara are running through the hallway, and Isabella runs into Worf, and I'm like, okay, so she's solid, definitely. Yeah. But I liked the moment where Worf kind of smiled. I was like, okay, we'll run along, because you can see Alexander softened him, and you see Worf's growth arc. And I really liked that actually played back into the story later when they're like, there's this blonde girl running around, maybe? We don't know. And Worf's like, oh yeah, I saw her.
Blue dress.
I love that, how that fit together. There aren't many things about this episode I love, but we just mentioned two of them.
I thought it was weird, and as I was watching that scene, I'm like, why is nobody else passing them on this? And then they run into, you knew they were going to run into somebody. And then later they're like, well, it's a floor where no children and really nobody should be. It's like, okay, or deck, sorry. But
it's the haunted wing of the Enterprise D. Nobody's supposed to go there.
I think it would have been more interesting if they kept passing people. Whether they reacted to them or not. But
that's the wing where Worf is locked up with the Rose, and if all the petals fall before he finds true love, then he has to stay a Klingon forever.
I think a lot of that was by design, especially during those scenes when Isabella might have legitimately been invisible and in the room.
Yeah.
That was frustrating to me, though, that they were taking too long to confirm that that's what was happening. Because suddenly,
me too.
You're with both Guinan and Troy having these conversations. You expect them to go something, either censor or see it or something.
I thought, to that same point, Keith, I thought if you're going to do this trope, give us the shot of they just think they see the one girl, not the other, or tell us they see both. One or the other. Give it to us. Again, this is one of those, we're going to hold it back on you. Oh, snap. She's real. No, it wasn't, oh, snap. She's real. It was, okay, great. All right, fine.
Pretty early. I thought the episode was pretty clear that she was real and she could just disappear when she didn't want to be seen, and just kept sending Clara into the situations by herself on purpose. Like, I was not confused by that.
Actually, it makes more sense now that we understand the purpose of what she was doing. Supposedly, she would want to be unobserved by the people she's evaluating, other than Clara.
Right. Yeah.
So I think we're at the last part of the aspect of the episode I really liked. Well, no, maybe two more. But Guinan and Data looking at clouds and seeing pictures of them. I liked that a lot.
I did too, especially because at first I thought they were going with the, really driving home the day. But then when Data's like, well, it's clearly this, I was like, okay. And one of my thoughts is imagination kind of the theme of this episode? Because they kind of get into that,
Mm-hmm.
having an imaginary friend and the art aspect and all this other stuff. And I feel like they were, and again, that would be, that's perfect for an episode that in my mind was designed for children, that imagination's important, and I do appreciate that too, even though I do not like this episode. I appreciate them trying to get that in, I thought.
Yeah, that is the last thing I like was Guinan's defense of the imagination. Mm-hmm. And, that Guinan herself had as an imaginary friend. That at first she says very clearly is not a he or a she. It's a Tarkasian razor beast or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then later somebody calls her imaginary friend a he and she just goes with it. So she's not consistent on the gender of her imaginary beast friend. But I appreciated that she had one. And I also appreciated Guinan being so welcoming to Clara, even though she wasn't supposed to be in 10 Forward without a grown-up.
What I had noticed later, I think that Guinan slipped and called it a he, but the other person talking to her said it. Anyway, like maybe the actress missed the line or something. And
I just
Whoopi Goldberg's perfect. Yeah. How dare you besmirch her name?
Just
she's never said anything wrong at all, including nothing about the Holocaust not being about race. If 10 Forward's only for grown-ups, does that mean there's a family restaurant on the ship that we just never get to see? This is like a Perkins or a TGI Fridays or an Applebee's?
Goes back to last week when I was like, are there other restaurants?
Yeah.
Is there a Chuck E. Cheese? Because
the holodeck can make you any restaurant you want.
There are animatronic robots. If they had a Chuck E. Cheese on the Enterprise, it would be sensational.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they don't have
unless they're Data's failed attempts at children. Hopefully Chucky doesn't keel over the middle of dinner.
So they probably do have a mess hall somewhere.
They do. And they do.
Maybe that's just for everybody, or maybe most other people, like civilians, have to dine in their quarters. I don't know.
I would imagine. Well, we definitely see people dine in their quarters from time to time. But I would imagine there's going to be some place you can eat in public with your kids on the Enterprise, separate from the crew mess that's just for officers. There's going to be at least 2 big mess halls we haven't seen.
Since there's families on there, I'm just thinking all of a sudden like it's a cruise ship, and so there are certain times where kids can be in certain mess halls or whatever, or certain eating areas.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking of the Love Boat, but
and it must just be younger kids because we saw Wesley hanging out with like other teenagers in 10 Forward before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In our mind, 10 Forward's an adult bar, but I guess it could be all things to all people as well.
It is mostly an adult bar, but also the Enterprise isn't like a rowdy party place, so
that's true. It's not Margaritaville.
We also have never seen the sports bar room where they can go watch Parisi Squares tournaments and stuff with all the big screens.
Yeah. And definitely not football.
And eat wings and not stuff. Oh yeah, football's gone. Troy invites Clara to pottery class without Isabella, and Isabella's eyes turned pink because we didn't need her to be any creepier. I was just like, did she get pink eye? Like, what's going on?
That's a good point, though, is that it's why would the alien decide to do that, to indicate that, or is that a natural? I didn't even think about it at the time. Is that a natural reaction? Or
that was dumb.
It's like, you know what? I'm going to look menacing right now, and I'm going to make my eyes red.
It's what Rick Moranis does in Ghostbusters when he becomes possessed by.
No, that's a natural demonic color. That's the effect. It's just a cause and effect.
In Village of the Damned, I don't know if you guys. I have never seen it, but I remember it. Do those kids? Do their eyes turn red?
I don't think so. That's the Shyamalan movie, right? Where
Oh, he remade it. Yeah, I don't know if the original. But then later, when she zaps Troy, it comes out of her hand, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it go out of her eyes?
Well, it's not coming out of her hand. What we learn later, it's like lightning because it's sucking into her because she removed power from Troy. So it's like lightning that looks like it's coming down, but lightning's actually going up from the ground. So it looks like she's shooting Troy, but it's really like sucking. I don't know.
No, but visually, that is the effect they went with. There's a beam that shot out of her arm into Troy.
Yeah, that attacking Troy moment, I was like, oh my goodness, do we need this?
I will say this about that, and this is one of my 2 fashion notes. Fashion. The way Marina Sirtis lands in that closet, and the way her hair is played, is like if they set her down and put her hair out perfectly splayed or whatever, they couldn't have done better than her, the way she landed. And maybe I should go back and look and see if there was a cut there, but her hair is perfectly splayed around her. I'm making arm motions for the Patreon folks. You guys can see it. Sorry, the folks that are on Patreon. But her hair, go back and look at that moment. Her hair is perfectly splayed about her. And then I think we cut to commercial. We come back, and she's still in that spot. So
I thought for a second Isabella was going to lock her in the closet. I forgot.
I did too. I thought she was going to, because I kept thinking the whole time that she was going to close doors or open doors with her powers, but I felt like I don't think she did. So my one other fashion note is I like the smocks when they were doing the art.
I like the smocks too.
With the smock on her, it took me back to being in art class as a fourth grader, third grader, or whatever. So.
I like the smocks too. I wrote that down. Before we get into that scene, though, the other fashion notes I have is Clara's green dress I liked it. I was like, oh, kids are relatively fashionable. It's much better than the two-tone overalls that we see all the kids wearing all the time.
Yes, you're right.
And then the Isabella's dress was, of course, just creepy Victorian because that's the whole vibe they're trying to get for.
Yep. Well, so again, it made me think of Small Wonder, if you guys remember that series. I
never watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
I always forget it. Was it the alien or is she a robot?
Robot.
Okay. So, yeah, she was also,
or an android, I suppose.
Yes.
Sorry.
Same thing. No, they're not. I know. Clara helps Alexander make a cup for Worf, which it's a kind of a cool cup. I like the little spikes. I like that they're helping and making friends there.
Yeah.
But also, once Isabella knocks it over, which is pointless, whatever.
Yeah.
Alexander says he's been working on that cup for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. That cup looked like he spent 20 minutes on it, not 2 weeks.
Maybe he doesn't get very much time in there.
Do you think? I want to see the deleted scene where Worf goes to drink out of it and the water just spills out. Like every cup made by a child for their parent ever.
Well, the water all leaks through the bottom, and then it drips, and then it turns into a flow, and then the entire cup just comes apart. The 2 weeks were him doing the design drawings and and the color patterns and agonizing and sending them off to other people. Like, what do you think of this? Getting notes on it, and then finally going into production.
Maybe it wasn't the first attempt.
Meeting with his investors. Yeah, it was. Those 2 weeks were very involved.
Well, it also didn't look like it actually broke, and he could fix it in 5 seconds flat. So why he was throwing a fit?
It's clay, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't like they dried it and put it in the kiln yet. It was still wet.
Yeah. He also had to study a lot of Klingon mugs or Klingon steins or whatever it was, Klingon goblets. He did a lot of studying of Klingon history. So those 2 weeks were not wasted until she destroyed it. But that part was very very snuffleupagus, if you will, where it's like, I swear to God, somebody's here. I don't see anybody.
But then they threw the clay at Alexander's head, and there was nobody there. So then that just gave it away.
Yeah. That redeemed it for me anyway.
Really still got freaked out. Yeah.
Troy's hot chocolate got knocked over. Okay. And then she had to go all the way to the bathroom for a towel because they don't have paper towels or anything going on in Starfleet quarters. She's going to use one of her nice sparkly towels.
I thought when she came back, it was all going to be cleaned up and the cup was just going to be there.
No, it was knocked over again.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I thought was going to happen.
Isabella says you can die with everyone else.
Yes.
And she gets more evil and creepy. Then we have the most unrealistic scene in all of Star Trek. Troy's playing with her chocolate, looks like a chocolate cheesecake, and not eating it at all, even though she's obsessed with chocolate. We frequently we hear how obsessed Troy is with chocolate, but whenever we see her on screen with chocolate, at most she takes the tiniest nibble. Most of the time she's just stirring it around and playing with it.
I'm going to do a snobby behind the scenes thing here. So
Marina Sirtis doesn't want to eat it on screen.
Because once you eat it once, that means you might eat it 20 times.
Right. So she always avoids eating it, even though it doesn't make any sense.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I assumed that in the moment, which took me out of the scene, which, again, hurts.
Right. Yeah.
I think the last thing that really bothered me, again, was just the way that they were playing the invisibility thing, where it was unclear. And I would like whether Clara could be the only one seeing her or something. She kept interacting with her as though she were still like an invisible imaginary friend. Mm-hmm. So the adult is going to think that.
I'm glad Clara told her dad about what was happening. Like, yes, she needed to do that. I'm glad they have some type of relationship. When we see the red thing, the red energy web or whatever they're caught in, it looks like a spider web. And at that point, when they're talking about sucking energy, and I'm like, so are they like red light spiders that are just trying to catch things and suck the energy out of them? I mean, I guess they are, except they let you go if you're not cruel.
Is that a reference to something?
No, I just thought they were spiders with a web.
I like the way that looked, especially because at the beginning I was like, oh, it's another nebula. And I feel like that was probably a shot of the Reliant from Trek 2, which, again, I'm not angry about. But I did like that webby kind of look was a little bit different. So kudos to that. I'll give credit to the episode for that.
So even after everything goes down, Clara offers to still be her best friend. And then Isabella leaves without even answering her. Now, granted, she does come back in another scene and to return and say goodbye. But in the moment, she's like, I'll still be your best friend. And she's like,
Yeah.
And then Picard feeds them for an hour. I guess that's his peace offering for letting them live. You'd almost expect it to, like, oh, I'll make you a deal. I'll feed you if you leave us alone. But it wasn't like that. They just left. He's like, let's toss them some bread anyway.
I guess I'd assumed that maybe that was they could use it to charge something up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they wanted to eat the energy. So yeah, he was feeding them.
Well, no, I mean, I thought maybe it was a longer term energy source of some sort he was giving them, but maybe not.
No, he was just firing like warp energy at them.
I'm sure I'm wrong on this, but is Isabella the worst imaginary friend ever?
Yeah. I mean, probably not, but yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other bad imaginary friends that are out there.
You'd have to watch Drop Dead Fred, and there are some.
That's what, Freddy got fingered. No, wait, that's two different things. Drop Dead Fred is what I'm thinking of. Yes, he's terrible. Is the Cat in the Hat imaginary or is he real?
Good question.
It was like a Snapolopolis thing again.
Thing 1 is imaginary, thing 2 is not.
Okay.
The episode was directed by Gabrielle Beaumont. This is the 5th of 7 episodes she's directing for the series. So we've mentioned her before. It's got a lot of writers on it. It's story by Jean-Louise Mathias, Ronald Wilkerson, Richard Fleigel, teleplay by Brandon Braga, and Edith Swenson. I can tell you that Jean-Louise Mathias wrote 4 episodes for Next Gen, this being the first one, and 2 episodes for Voyager. Ronald Wilkerson, same, 4 for Next Gen and on 3 for Voyager, so an additional one. And then Richard Fleigel, this is their only credit total. IMDb, this episode, that's it. Edith Swenson, who helped Brandon Braga write the final episode, she's best known for being a writer on Odyssey 5, Brazen, Charmed, and this, but this is her only Next Gen credit, her only Star Trek credit at all. So I don't know why they brought her in to help write the teleplay when she didn't come up with the story and she wasn't like a regular worker there.
Do you think that usually means that there was something that needed to be fixed? Like this?
I guess, but they didn't fix it.
Yeah, that was when I saw that many writers involved, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's only so much you can do after a certain point, though. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
It could be. It could have been worse. I mean, I think we found a lot of things we liked as we're going through it, but
a few small elements we liked. Yeah. I'm going to give Brandon Braga credit for that stuff, but
although I will say the latest episode of Prodigy, spoiler alert for you folks who are going to listen to us 20 years from now. The latest episode also had like 9 writers, but
I noticed that, but it was a really good episode.
I enjoyed it too.
When I saw that many writers pop up on screen, what I assumed, and I could be wrong, is, in a writer's room, everybody contributes, but then each person takes a script and goes and works it and gets credited. And I thought for this one, they just all must have collaborated so much, they just put them all on there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I had the same thought. Yep.
Do you have an alternate episode?
I do. In mine, Clara is the manipulative friend. So she's manipulating this alien to do everything she wants.
Oh, wow.
And I think that
might have been a slightly better episode.
I think it would have been. I would have been a lot more interested if she's making this alien, because the alien doesn't know what they're doing. So the alien, why wouldn't the alien want to make her friend happy? So, or their friend, however you want. But yeah, so that's my alternate episode.
Keith, do you have any notes or anything?
Well, I liked Jimmy's Tinkerbell idea at the beginning. That and that could have been fleshed out a bit more. Actually, I think that, instead of having Isabella, she drops Isabella for this new real thing that people are having trouble believing is doing stuff. So I don't know. I think that might have been a better transition.
And then someone steps on her, but everyone on the Enterprise claps loud enough that she survives.
Before we get to the ranking, I did want to mention I was looking on IMDb to see how they rank best and worst episodes of Star Trek. And they have according to IMDb rankings, most of the episodes are 6 and above, but there are 7 episodes that got below a 6.0 ranking. The worst episode of the series is Shades of Grey, the flashback episode at the end of season 2. Yeah. I like that. Next to worst is Sub Rosa, which is a season 7 episode we haven't seen, but I've heard it's bad by everybody. Then Code of Honor, which wonder why it's not down there. And then we get Angel One, which I didn't like, but I think Steven did, and The Child down at the bottom. We jump to the top of the list. The best episode of the series is The Inner Light, which is coming up real soon here at the end of the season, followed by Best of Both Worlds 1 and 2, Yesterday's Enterprise, which we love, Measure of a Man, which we love, Q Who, Cause and Effect, which we don't have ranked as high, but we liked. And then the series finale. This one, of course, is in the middle. It's like a 6.0, so it's like towards the bottom, actually. But I say middle because 6 is middling. But yeah, this episode is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 from the bottom, according to IMDb's rankings. Which seems about right to me.
I was surprised last week's episode, I should have mentioned it last week, but was not rated super highly. But I also get it. I also get it. Angel One, by the way, was the one
89. Yeah, 89. Ooh, no. What?
Angel One was the one with the planet run by women. So that's probably part of it.
Yeah, I really was looking because next week's episode, I remember being really, really well respected. It's number 13 on here. It's one spot above Darmok in the rankings. So it'll be we've got 2 really, really good episodes here before we end the season. Iborg and The Inner Light. Inner Light's ranked number 1 episode of all time, and I haven't seen it, so I'm looking forward to it. Ranking this episode, we've got 3 children to rank their annoyance level this week, because I said if there's a child that figures prominently.
That's right.
Let's start with Alexander. 1 to 10 on Alexander.
He annoyed me more than usual, so I'm going to give him a 3.
I'm giving him a 3 because he was a little bit of a drama queen when his cup broke.
Yes, he was.
Keith?
Yeah, I'm at a 2. I mean, I understand why he needed to do it. It's kind of ironic in a way that he is upset with someone for lying, because of this. Maybe as part of his growth arc, he understands now. Why would you? That's a mean thing to do.
Clara on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm putting her at a 3. I found her slightly annoying, but not bad.
I'm gonna say a 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't like these kids.
Yeah, 3. I mean, it's under the circumstances.
And last but not least, Isabella. I'm giving her a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, she's my most annoying, so I'm going to give her a 7.
5, I guess. I'm not sure why. I'm not more annoying. It's just, I think she made me laugh enough.
Her average ranking is 7. So you said Isabella was your annoyance, Stephen?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was mine as well. Keith?
Yeah, I suppose.
Who are we having a drink with?
Agawa. I want to hear about this person. She's she's into.
Yeah, I had not thought about her until you said it, but I'm right there with you. I want to hear the story as well, so I'm gonna join you 2 for a drink. Keith, you gonna join us? We'll save you a seat.
Maybe. I don't know. I think under some circumstances I would say Isabella, but the Agua thing is probably better.
Well, it's up to you. You want to have a drink with the creepy girl?
Do you want to have a drink?
No, I mean it's like this, the same sort of questions as would have for the.
You'd have a drink so you could find out about her species and the context and stuff. Yeah,
it's more like the metamorph kind of thing. Why, she could have turned into something other than a little girl, it, I suppose.
There is an element of, we've had this happen a couple of times where at the end of the episode, the aliens show up and like, oh, here's what we do. Just tell us a little bit, which again, in some mystery, but then I'm sure we don't see these guys ever again.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, you can have your drink with Isabella. Steven and I are going to go hang out with Agua. We'll see you later. Ranking the episode, I'm starting at the bottom of the season. Better or worse than Power Play?
Certainly similar, isn't it?
There's another Evil Light. I'm going to say worse.
Yeah, I would say worse, mainly because it's focused on kids, and especially that whole trope of the Snuffleupagus, as Stephen was saying. That part was tedious. We just want to like get to the let's go. We know what they're gonna do. Let's get to the other thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at power play like, man, I don't like this, but that makes sense. It was already last, but I didn't like this one either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Next week, Borg. The Enterprise finds a lone Borg drone separated from the collective and brings him aboard. The drone begins to reassert his individuality, but his presence causes differing levels of fear and sympathy from various crew members. I actually just watched this episode like 2 years ago because the character, the main Borg, Borg, it came back for Star Trek Picard. So I watched the episode to refresh my memory of who that character was. He's in more than one episode of Next Gen, so I watched not just this episode, I watched another one as well, but
So
we will meet Hugh.
It's like a Spartacus thing. Borg. No, Borg.
I thought it was like Asimov, iRobot.
Oh, that makes
It probably is.
Borg, you Borg, we all Borg for ice cream.
Yeah, I really like iBorg. Like I said, it's ranked number 13 for the series overall. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you two enjoy it as much as I do. Until then, live long.
And teach your children well and prosper.
Children should be seen and not heard. Unless then they're Isabella, then they should be neither. It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?
I had another note, but I have no idea what it meant. I had another thing for the live long and prosper, but I don't know what I meant. So it's probably for the best. It looks like 3 entirely different thoughts. So